quick video. Understanding versus overstanding versus innerstanding. What's the difference? Real quick. Understanding is when you learn something, you've been taught something, you read something, and you understand it to the point of memorization and regurgitation. You understand it. It has been given to you. You know it. That is knowledge, akin to knowledge. K-N-O-W, knowledge. That is what I would say understanding is. Then you have overstanding. Overstanding is information being given to you and you've worked with it long enough, you understand it well enough to the point to begin to teach that information, to depart that information to others in a way where if they're not understanding it, you can remix it beyond the level that you were given and understood it, because now you overstand it, so you can kind of fill in the holes that another individual that is trying to understand it may need you to fill. That is overstanding. Understanding is basically the term of the student. Overstanding is the term of the teacher. Now, innerstanding is where, in my personal opinion, and I feel like others will agree with me on this, innerstanding is to the point of wisdom or gnosis, to whereas it's information that you may not even need to get all the details. You just kind of needed that spark to remind you, and you're like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. I just get that. I feel that. Innerstanding is when you may not be able to recite all the details of some shit, but you're able to live it. Like, it's information you can take on and it'll change your life. Like, you can live through that information. You can live through that knowledge. You can take it right now and apply it to your character, and it'll change your outlook. It'll change your perspective. It's information that you may not even necessarily feel inclined to regurgitate and impart and attempt to teach other individuals, because you understand that it may not even, it's not even on that level. It's basically for you. If that makes any sense. That's why it's an innerstanding. You gotta feel it. It comes from within. It's a form of gnosis. I would say it's a form of gnosis, Gnosis, which is a form of knowledge that's resident within the nature of a being, resident within your heart, and sometimes it just needs to be brought out. That's what I would describe innerstanding as. It's knowledge that's more so reawakened within you as opposed to put inside of you. It comes from within. It didn't really come from without. Just certain things from without triggered it. So that would be kind of a loose definition of innerstanding for me. It's where it's something you can take and actually live with, whereas forms of innerstanding and overstanding, it takes a while for that to really envelop the psyche and your life to get to the point of innerstanding, to where you can live it, whereas the keen observer could actually see you living that knowledge as opposed to you reading or preaching that knowledge. So understanding versus overstanding versus innerstanding. And plus, anybody that's talking about overstanding, I wouldn't trust nobody talking about overstanding, because a lot of times that can lead into manipulation, that can lead into sociopath, narcissistic, megalomaniac type shit, because Overstanding, that's somebody trying to put themselves over you. Overlord, that's somebody that will use the knowledge and manipulate, withhold certain things to their advantage. Anybody using that term, watch where they coming from. Even as a teacher, you using the term understanding for yourself or for anybody else, use it with the consciousness of knowing how you're using it and knowing what you're truly saying when you say that. Know that is the pupil or the neophyte or like the student stage of taking in information, and that should always be taken with a grain of salt depending on where you're getting it from. I don't care how smart they sound. Know you're at a level of understanding when you're first taking in brand new information that may not clearly resonate with your soul. And even if the information does resonate with your soul, just know where you're at. Be humble, but also vigilant when learning new shit. Because when you get out of religion, which you already know is a predatory institution, when you get into this conscious jungle, is the predators aren't so obvious. I'm gonna just say it like that. They're not so obvious, but they still out here. And there's no church in the wild. Adepts only. Hey.